All information in this story is taken from public sources such as various media outlets and court documents. 19-month-old Miguel Fernandes sustained severe full-thickness burns to 40% of his body when he was immersed in scalding hot water. The burns covered the front of his body from his toes to his waist and the back of his body from his feet, all the way up to about his shoulder blades. The burns extended around the full circumference of his legs and the soles of his feet. Much of his skin in the affected areas was simply missing, having burned completely away. The burns were, quite literally, horrific. He died of hypovolemic shock when his vital body systems were unable to function as a result of those burns. This is his story. Melissa Alexander 21 and Sergio Fernandes 22 first met at Central Technical High School in downtown Toronto, where Melissa was a city-ranked athlete, sufficiently talented that at one time she is said to have been offered a tryout with a U.S. college. Melissa claimed that Sergio's parents did not like her because she was black and tried to keep Sergio away from her. In 2004, Sergio moved to Portugal. He continued to visit Toronto and saw Melissa when he was here. In the summer of 2004, Melissa discovered she was pregnant. She told Sergio that the baby was his. A little boy named Sean was born in March 2005. Sergio was in Portugal when the baby was born. His mother attended the birth, at his request. Mrs. Fernandes was convinced that her son Sergio was not the father of the baby. She paid $700 for a DNA test, and it proved her son hadn't fathered Sean. Melissa for the first time alleged that she had been raped during the summer of 2004 by a man she met at a party. She then reported the assault to police in October 2005, telling them that the assault occurred on July 24, 2004. She was unable to provide the address of the party, provide a name or any identifiers of alleged perpetrator, although she claimed to know him. Subsequently, the police made repeated, but unsuccessful, attempts to contact her to investigate the complaint. She never followed up. Melissa and Sergio continued their relationship. She got pregnant again and gave birth to another son named Miguel Fernandes on February 11, 2006. Only when Miguel was born at St. Michael's Hospital did Sergio tell his mother that he had a son, according to Ms. Fernandes. "I was in shock, I couldn't believe it," she would tell the Globe and Mail newspaper. According to Ms. Fernandes, Melissa told the nurses she didn't want the baby, so Sergio asked me to go to the hospital. By the time she made it downtown 20 minutes later, the Catholic Children's Aid Society had already taken the baby into their care. Catholic Children's Aid Society records showed no serious problems with Miguel, but do indicate that Melissa was often uncooperative with them. Ms. Fernandes wanted to help Sergio raise Miguel, if not raise him herself with her husband. She spoke to a lawyer and was willing to go to court, but in the end, Sergio refused to sign the necessary papers. When Miguel was about 10 months old, he would be returned back into the care of Melissa and Sergio, who at the time had returned to Toronto. Even though Miguel was placed back into his parents' care with a supervision agreement with Children's Aid, they were supposed to be doing regular visits and providing support. Melissa would consistently cancel appointments and failed to provide the results of random drug tests. She would often tell her children's aid worker that she was under stress. She would admit her friends smoked marijuana at her apartment, breaching the supervision order. She also refused to enroll Miguel and his brother in daycare. With the growing list of concerns, Children's Aid did nothing to protect Miguel or his brother. In spring of 2007, the couple decided to move into a 2-bedroom apartment on Jane Street. Some articles stated it was 2999 Jane Street. However, the court documents list the address as 1795 Jane Street. Sergio began working as a bricklayer with his father in Mississauga, where he would start work at 6 a.m. and would work up to 12 hours a day, which means that Melissa was the one taking care of the kids throughout the day. On September 11, 2007, Melissa's at home with the kids, while Sergio went to work. On his way home, he called to check in as he usually did. He was told that Miguel had pulled over a pot of hot water that Melissa was using to crimp her braids and burned his legs. But it wasn't anything serious. When Sergio got home, he went to check on his son, who was lying in his crib. He was wearing a onesie which he attempts to unzip so he can look at the burn. He was told not to buy Melissa because it would wake Miguel and it would be hard to get him back to sleep. Everyone went to bed. An ambulance was called September 12 at 2:20 a.m., over 12 hours after Miguel was injured. By that time he had already passed. This is a transcript of the call played in court. When the operator asked what the problem was, Melissa stated, "Okay. Yesterday my son burned himself with the bowl of hot water and it turned over him." She said that she attempted first aid by putting him in a cold tub and putting Vaseline and cotton on the burn. She said she thought he was going to be okay, but then she fell asleep and now he was dead. The operator asked her to clarify what she meant by yesterday, whether that was a few hours ago or a whole day ago. Melissa replied that it was like a whole day ago. The operator instructed her in performing CPR and told her first to check Miguel's mouth for food or vomit. Melissa said that Miguel had thrown up and that there was still some black vomit in his mouth. A link to the court proceeding will be in the description box. Melissa was charged with aggravated assault, which was then upgraded to second-degree murder after the autopsy was completed. Before trial began, it would be downgraded to manslaughter. 2 days after Miguel's death, police searched the apartment. The apartment reeked of vomit. There were blankets, sheets and clothing that was stained with Miguel's bodily fluids. Miguel's chunks of skin that had fallen off because of the burn were just tossed in the garbage. During the court case, a lot of shocking details were revealed. Melissa confessed that she filled a basin with water for Miguel's bath, but never checked the temperature. When Miguel began to cry, she took him out immediately. When she felt the water that was still running into the basin, she realized it was scorching hot. Instead of seeking medical care, she left Miguel and his 2-year-old brother alone while she went shopping for 2 hours, picking up 2 Kanye West CDs from HMV and other items at No Frills and Canadian Tire. She was caught on surveillance camera leaving her apartment at around 4 p.m., returning at 6 p.m. During the trial, Sergio would testify from Portugal where he had returned. Melissa was convicted of manslaughter. The prosecutor was asking for 15 years in jail. The judge sentenced her to 11 years. Information was found during my research which appears to show Melissa currently leading a positive life, recently being granted an award from a women's organization for having an impact in the lives of incarcerated women. I am not 100% sure this is her even though the information matches, so I will not be including that information in the chances it is not her. Wherever all parties involved are now, we wish them the best. Miguel would have been 17 years old today.